What up, y'all? Welcome to episode number 1 of Modbap Demystified. I'm your host, Shiro Fujioka, aka Voltagectrlr, and today I'm going to talk about my live setup, which consists of an Elektron Digitone, Digitakt, and 6U modular synthesizer. So basically how everything's set up is the Digitone is running the session. So we have the MIDI out of the Digitone going into the MIDI in of the Digitakt, and the MIDI out of the Digitakt going into the MIDI in of the hex inverter mutant brain MIDI to CV module. The thing I find really inspiring about this combination of instruments is that, you know, they all work well together, but at the same time you can disengage, you know, and just vibe out and, you know, just use the modular by itself, because the Digitone is basically only supplying the modular with a clock signal. So, you know, if I just want to hit stop, you know, it's still going to generate a clock for the modular, so the modular can always just constantly be running, and I can just jam it on that for a while. And you know, if I just want to jam out on the Digitakt, you know, I can jam out on that solo or any combination of the three. Yeah, it's a really inspiring set of tools for live shows. So this particular composition, it started on the Digitakt with this beat. So I'm gonna go into that, and then we're gonna break down the rest of the patch, and then we'll wrap it up with how it all sounds together. Hey, what up, y'all? We're going to start demystifying this patch with how I use the Digitone. So I started out here with this chord progression, and I just kind of experimented until I came up with the sequence of notes that I was feeling. And once I did, I hit record and captured the sequence. Here's the sequence I recorded earlier. Alright, so next up we're going to go to this next track and sound in the patch, which is this sound right here. Nice little vibe. Here's the sequence that I made with that patch. Here's how it sounds with the chords. Okay, moving on to the third element of this composition, which is this sound right here. It's actually a sequence as well. And here's what I recorded earlier. Alright, we're going to bring in that other element. Chords. All right, now we're going to move on to the last element, which is my least favorite part. It's this horrible bass sound. I don't know, it just doesn't sound very interesting on its own, but I mean, it's stupid sounding. Let's listen to it. Stupid. S-T-O-O-P-I-D. Stupid. But oddly enough, like when you start bringing in the other elements, like it just kind of works. Like here's one element. Bring in this other one. And when you bring in the chords, like it just kind of it just works for some reason. I just don't like it on its own. It sounds good together. Yeah, that's the Digitone portion of this patch, and next we're going to move on to how I use the Digitakt and the modular. Alright, so we're moving over here to the Digitakt and the modular. Basically, the Digitakt is controlling the modular via the hex inverter mutant brain module. And over here on MIDI channel number 1, right here, that's controlling this oscillator over here. I'm just going to tweak the FM a little bit so you can see the sound source. MIDI channel number 2, just kind of tweaking that a little bit. MIDI channel number 3 is controlling rings, which is making this like slide guitar kind of sound. And here's the sequence I made. I'm bringing the other elements now. Yeah, so basically, you know, the sequence is being generated by the Digitakt, but, you know, the modular gets to be a modular. Kind of tweak it and explore that. You know, I'll plug in something into the FM so you can kind of see that you can like tweak the sounds. And the modular is actually being processed through the Digitone, so you know we can add reverb, add some delay. You know, just kind of let the modular be a modular, but you know you still have the control of the Elektron, but you know it can kind of go off and do its own thing as well. Okay, let me unplug this and let's turn off this delay and the reverb and get this patch back in Modbap mode. Alright. Now we're adding elements from the Digitone so you can kind of see how it all works together. Alright y'all, thanks a lot. This has been episode number 1 of Modbap Demystified. I am your host, Shiro Fujioka, aka Voltagectrlr, aka Ghetto Gandalf. And yeah, stay tuned for more.